Hello, this is Political Forum for Wednesday, April 1st, 2015. We welcome today our guest, Representative Thapedi of the 32nd District. Thank you so much, Representative, for appearing today on Political Forum.
Thank you so much. It's always a pleasure to be here.
We're always glad to have you. I'm Teresa Cordoba, board member for CAN TV. This is a live interactive program brought to you as a community service of CAN TV. So we welcome your questions and your comments for Representative Thapedi, and you can call us at 312-738-1060. During the next 25 minutes or so, we will try to get as many of your calls in as we possibly can. Representative, you have been busy.
I have. Only 25 minutes? That's it?
We could easily talk for quite a bit longer.
We can. We'll try to get it in, and I hope we get some calls today, because it's a lot of interesting things going on down in Springfield and also in the 32nd District.
Well, one of the things that's been very important to you has been dealing with one of the big issues there in your district, around, which includes Englewood. Mm-hmm. And you have taken on the question of the issue of violence.
Yes.
And looking in particular at a task force. You've set up a task force.
I have indeed. And this is something that I've been working on. And I appreciate you asking about that, because it's something that's so important to me, and it's so important to the people in my community in the 32nd District. Crime has been a cancer that has been plaguing my community for years, prior to me coming into office up until today. Unfortunately, tonight, it's a beautiful day in Chicago. It's over 70 degrees, I think, out there. And, one thing that I'm concerned about is, the high incidence of violence once it starts to become warm. So getting back to the point, the Englewood Violent Crime Task Force is something that I've been working on for 3 years now. And the idea is to create a think tank of individuals from different segments of society, the business community, law enforcement community, and the community itself, to come up with solutions to the crime problem in Englewood. Not just Englewood, but Englewood and the surrounding communities as well. Interestingly enough, I did get some resistance when I first brought up the topic, believe it or not. And it wasn't from my colleagues in the House, interestingly enough, because the proposal got overwhelming support. I passed the bill 117-0. Nobody voted against the bill. Nobody. And in fact, I have several of the co-sponsors that are Republicans and Democrats from the north portion of the state, as far north as Waukegan and Rockford, all the way down to the southernmost portion of the state, down in the Metro East area. But I think that one of the biggest concerns that I encountered was from the community that is so fed up with excuses and fed up with just ideas that don't really make a lot of sense. But there's always that sense of skepticism. And I do understand that. I understand it's very frustrating. But you can either be a part of the solution or you can be a part of the problem. So that's why I created the Englewood Violent Crime Task Force. There'll be 20 members that will have seats on the task force.
And you're going to have a range of people that are going to be on that
absolutely,
task force, right?
Absolutely, including professors from the University of Illinois, Department of Criminology, Law, and Justice.
Good choice.
The mayor's office obviously will have some input. The presidents of the Student Government Association from Chicago State University and the University of Illinois at Chicago will have seats, obviously, on the task force. The business community, both from the state and the city, will have seats on the task force. So again, those are just some of the examples of some of the individuals that will be a part of this think tank to help me, help the community come up with solutions to try to solve this problem. And again, this is something that I understand that we're not going to be able to solve this problem overnight. I certainly understand that, and I don't want the viewers to think that that's what I'm offering, a quick fix solution. Well, that's not the case.
Well, and one of the things that you need to do in order to come up with solutions is figure out the sources of the problem.
Absolutely.
So your task force, as you've set it up, one of the first things is that it will take on the issue of what is causing all of this violence.
And that's the million-dollar question. And I think that if you ask each individual person, what is the reason for the crime in Englewood, I think that you'll hear a myriad of different reasons for why these things are occurring. Of course, we're going to have some overriding themes that we need jobs, there's issues with education, no after-school programs, apathy in the community, etc. So you'll hear a variety of different things, but I think that after we have an opportunity to really kind of marshal all of the people together, have frank discussions, come up with some solutions, implement a plan, or rather put a plan into action.
Including then the implementation strategies.
Absolutely, absolutely, including effectuating legislation, be it legislative or be it appropriations or whatever the case may be. And I understand that we're not going to be able to legislate this issue. I understand that. But the important part is to get the lines of communication going with the business community, the students, and the community in and of itself.
Although some of the legislation might involve opening up the pathways, let's say for somebody who may have had some kind of a criminal record, for example, misdemeanor or otherwise, there might be laws, for example, that could open up doors. Or at least take out the restrictions.
Well, absolutely. And one thing that was really interesting that we dealt with in the session was the mandatory minimum legislation that was introduced in the House. And I know that Mayor Emanuel is still a strong proponent of the mandatory minimum theory. Collectively, as members of the Black Caucus, we were not in favor of the mandatory minimum proposal.
Well, it's been shown not to be effective.
Well, I guess it depends on who you ask. But I understand the mayor's view is that the mayor is looking for some type of solution, and I certainly understand that, and I can respect that. But I don't believe that locking someone up for the first offense is necessarily the answer to get it done. I don't believe that that's the case. And again, time will tell. If the bill goes up on the board again, I can tell you André Thapedi will vote no. But I hope that using the task force and other means and methods of addressing the issue, that we can come up with something that will last going forward.
And we are on Political Forum speaking with Representative Thapedi from the 32nd District, so folks can call in and with their questions or with their comments for the representative. We've been talking about the task force that the representative has passed legislation to get that going, and we look forward to how that progresses. And but we're going to turn right now to a caller. Caller, you are on the air.
Hi, my big question when it comes to addressing crime in the city is that of, the number of police that we have. I know there was some, I don't know if controversy is the right word, but where Chuy Garcia proposed hiring more police officers, and the mayor seemed skeptical that we could really afford that. But my question is the resistance to the idea of increasing or hiring more police officers just the cost and the price tag, and that some people think there's a better way to move the needle, or is it just a matter of thinking that we can't afford to hire more cops?
No. That's an excellent question, and I appreciate that question. Let me give you a little background on that topic. I believe that more police presence can, in fact, be a deterrent. That's what I believe. However, if you ask Superintendent McCarthy, he will tell you the opposite. He will tell you that presence does not equal deterrence. Again, presence does not equal deterrence. And initially, I thought, well, Superintendent, where are you coming up with that? If there's a police officer standing right there, clearly that's going to be a deterrent for some criminal to commit a crime right there in front of the officer. But I thought initially that the superintendent was just bringing this out of nowhere, but he wasn't. He was relying upon a study that had been done, back in the 1970s in Kansas City, Kansas, which, if you look at the actual way that the study was performed, how the data was obtained, it was a little bit skewed. But at the end of the day, the theory was in that study in 1970 in Kansas City, Kansas, I believe, not even Missouri, but Kansas, that presence does not equal deterrence. So I believe that a more effective police force will be helpful. By no means do I want to encourage a police state. That's not what I'm saying. So to all the viewers that may think that I'm encouraging a police state, absolutely not. But I think that for the law-abiding citizens that are here in the city of Chicago, and especially in the 32nd District, they want to see some additional support.
Well, the caller also raised the question of the cost. And as I understand it, part of the additional cost comes with paying overtime.
Yes.
And one way to reduce the amount of money that goes towards this cost is to reduce the amount of overtime by increase the number of officers. And when it balances out, you're actually saving money.
Yeah, and I've heard that too. And that's the reason why I've looked at an option of having the Chicago Police Department partner with the Illinois State Police. There's a reason why the Illinois State Police are patrolling our expressways. Historically, back in 1985, then Mayor Harold Washington and then Governor Thompson entered into an intergovernmental agreement whereby the Illinois State Police would actually work and patrol the expressways, and in exchange, Illinois would be able to set up lottery kiosks at O'Hare and Midway Airport. And the take for the Illinois State Lottery has been over $600 million in the last few years. So clearly there's enough money there to get the Illinois State Police involved. We want to do that very carefully. That's another thing that we're going to be looking at with the task force to see if we can have some additional support from the Illinois State Police in the city of Chicago if the mayor is willing to accept their support.
Well, and we're going to go to the next caller in a second here, but I wanted to show this overhead, which I guess is not coming up on the screen. We'll go back to me here, but we'll come back to it in a little bit here
take the caller.
About the police and youth basketball or baseball thing that you've got going on, right?
Yes. Did you want to take the caller, or we can talk about baseball?
We'll take the caller and we'll come back to baseball.
Okay.
Caller, you are on the air.
Hello, Representative.
Hello.
I think you answered the question to my last comment that I, reported to the operator. I just want to commend you on your efforts to getting extra policing in the Englewood area and in those communities within your district.
Thank you, ma'am.
That are in need of extra support.
Thank you.
And I just hope going forward you will continue your efforts and work with our future mayor to take care of Englewood.
Thank you. Thank you.
So I commend you. You've done a great job. And I'm on your team.
Thank you very much, ma'am. I really appreciate that. Let's talk about baseball.
All right.
Let's talk about baseball. I'm a baseball fan. I'm a baseball fan. I was a Little Leaguer myself. I played at Southside Little League, so I was very proud when Jackie Robinson West won the championship. That was something that I did every summer regardless. Before Jackie Robinson West had this fantastic year, that was something that I always did during the summertime around my birthday, is that I would watch the Little League World Series. So when I actually got to see Jackie Robinson West competing and moving up the ranks, I was absolutely thrilled. In fact, in Springfield, we actually passed a resolution encouraging Little League Baseball to reinstate the Jackie Robinson West title because we thought that was done without due process. But interestingly enough, as chance would have it, in Englewood, we are actually putting together a baseball league, and that is in partnership with the Chicago Police. So I would encourage all the viewers that have kids, and there you're seeing it there on the screen, the Police Youth Baseball League there in Englewood. And the season, as you see, it begins on May 3rd, 2015 through August 15th, 2015. There is no fee. It's free. 9 to 13 years old, or 12 years old actually, the boys and the girls, it's free to play. And they're taking registration now as we speak. So it's actually in partnership with Teamwork Englewood and Fabulous Fitness LLC, who actually sponsored the Englewood 5K run this year. That was a wonderful, fantastic thing for Englewood as well. So for all those young men and young ladies out there that want to play a little baseball, you still have that opportunity to get out there with the Englewood League. And I think that we have another caller. Let's take another caller.
Well, one of the things that does, too, is it brings people together.
Absolutely.
It's a nice
Absolutely.
thing.
Absolutely.
Caller, you're on the air.
Good evening. Hello, can you hear me?
We can.
Mm-hmm.
I hope I'll be able to hear your response because you're not streaming live. My question is this. Since we had a very close governor race And it seemed like when I was seeing him doing his state address, and it seemed like some people, like some state senators and state reps, were sort of like laughing at him. If we're not so happy about him, why we cannot have a recall? Is that possible in the state of Illinois?
Anything is possible. I think that when you refer to a recall, that was something that they actually explored in Wisconsin. The recall effort was unsuccessful. But if I understand you correctly, caller, I want to make sure I understand which governor you're referring to. Are you referring to Governor Quinn, or are you referring to our new governor, Governor Rauner, that you would consider?
I'm referring to our new governor.
Governor Rauner. Yes, Governor Rauner. Well, obviously, if that's something that we want to explore, it's something that we can explore. But let me tell you this. Governor Rauner has been in office a very short period of time. And he made a promise. Basically, his campaign promise was that he was going to shake up Springfield. And one of the things that he said during the budget address and during the State of the State address, and I sit right in the front row in the House, so I'm right there front and center listening to him very carefully, he said that he wants to make Illinois a booming economy. I want to give him the opportunity to turn Illinois into a booming economy. This is a man who's a very successful businessman. Now, I don't agree with him on a lot of the cuts that he's made and the efforts that he's taking with respect to slashing important services for the most needy people in our community, especially in my community. I definitely don't support what he's doing on those things. But as far as turning Illinois into a booming economy, I want to give him that opportunity to do that. And in fact, I serve as the chairman of the International Trade and Commerce Committee, so that's something that I'm working on as well, is growing opportunities for Illinois businesses to expand export opportunities, because this is a global economy. And quite frankly, we need money. We need money here in Illinois. And in fact, with the budget coming up, and when we go back in mid-April, we're going to be talking about the budget. Recently, everyone, I'm sure all your callers have heard about this, that we actually passed a piece of legislation that authorized Governor Rauner to sweep funds, roughly about $1.6 billion, to fill up the budgetary shortfall. That there's a 1.6 budgetary shortfall for fiscal year 15. So just to keep things moving forward at this time, we had to do something drastic and give Governor Rauner the ability to move money around to try to plug up some holes. But when we return back to Springfield in mid-April, in a couple of weeks or a week from now, we're going to be looking at fiscal year 16, and that's where we're really going to have some true challenges, and that's where I'd like to see and give Governor Rauner the opportunity to turn Illinois into the booming economy that he promised that he can do.
We have another caller. Caller, you are on the air.
Thank you for taking my call. I'm glad you're talking about the budget, because
Yes.
I've been hearing a lot of active chatter about a casino in Chicago. And would that help seal the budget deficit that's going on?
Well, it depends on whose numbers you're looking at. Right now, the income tax increase in the state of Illinois has expired. So the previous fiscal years, we were working with roughly about $34 billion, give or take. But now that income tax is no longer permanent and it's rolled back, and there are no new revenue streams being offered at this time, that's something that Governor Rauner made very clear, that he's not looking at new revenue at this time, that he wants to work within the confines of what we have, based upon the numbers from Governor Rauner's office, based upon the numbers from the what we call COGFA, based upon the numbers that we found from the Department of Revenue, we're working with roughly about $32 billion. So going into the budget negotiations, we're already $2 billion in the hole from what we're used to working with. So clearly, there's going to be some pain. And I understand that there's going to be some pain, but my responsibility is to make sure that pain doesn't translate into the people in Englewood, the people in Park Manor, and the people throughout the 32nd District that I represent, which, quite frankly, has a very large percentage of some of the most vulnerable people in our state.
And given some of the proposed tax, that's going to be a challenge.
It's going to be a challenge. And as I said, Governor Rauner has pretty much taken off the table at this time. No new revenue. That's what he says. No new revenue, no income tax increases. We'll see how it goes. And again, I've got to give the man the opportunity to do what he does best. He's a venture capitalist, and he's been doing billion-dollar deals for quite some time. Now he's got essentially a company or an entity that he's working with that's a $32 billion company. Let's see what he can do. Let's give him the opportunity.
We have another caller. Caller, you are on the air.
Hi, I was wondering how come in black areas mostly all you have is payday loans, beauty shops, nurseries, liquor stores, and stuff like that, and vacant lots. And then in other areas, you have dentists, gynecologists, obstetricians, lawyer office, fruit markets. And then I noticed also in our area, and I'm black, also in some black areas, you have these stores. At the bottom, it's a grocery store, which you can't see in, and all they selling is potato chips, pop, and junk. They don't sell anything healthy for us, but that's the only store that they're able to go to in their neighborhood. And then every alderman has a ward superintendent, and I think it's part of their responsibility to go out and see, what type of stores and everything is in their area.
I could not agree with you more. I think we lost the caller, but caller, I know exactly what you're saying. Here to what you're saying. You're absolutely correct. That's something that we have to address. For an example, and caller, you know this just as well as I do, that the Englewood community, the Park Manor community, the African American communities, the black communities are primarily plagued as food deserts. That we don't have decent places that we can get fresh fruit, fresh vegetables, fresh meat, fresh poultry, fresh fish. We don't have that. And that's something that we have to do. And that's one thing that I want to work with Governor Rauner on, is that he says that he's committed to turning Illinois into a booming economy. He says that he's committed to bringing business to Illinois. Hey, let's talk about bringing some businesses to the inner city. Let's talk about bringing some businesses to the black and brown communities. Let's try doing that. Let's try doing that, and let's jumpstart our community that way from the ground up or the middle up and see what happens. But I appreciate the call, caller. You're absolutely 100% correct, and that's something that I'm committed to working on. And please give my office a call, 773-873-4444. Again, 773-873-4444. That's my office, and you see it there up on your screen. One interesting thing, the district office, we're no longer at 37 East 75th Street. We have now moved to 4651 West 79th Street. Thank you. 4651 West 79th Street, which is in the Scottsdale Professional Building right next door to the Lowe's. So please give us a call, email me, do whatever it is that you want. Don't, run, walk, do whatever you can, but please use me as a resource. I want to be a conduit for you, the viewers, and Springfield and the governor's mansion. That's my job. That's my responsibility. I'm an attorney by trade, and so I'm not afraid to get in there and dig in, do what I have to do, and that's what I was elected to do.
And we are so pleased that so many people are tuning in to the Political Forum on CAN TV.
Absolutely. Which
is an interactive program, and we have yet another caller who's very interested in asking you another question. Caller, you are on the air.
Hi, Representative.
Hello.
Hi, I've seen a lot of news stories about the Child Care Assistance Program.
Yeah.
I just want to know, where does that stand? Have we funded the program, or will some of those suites cover that?
Excellent question. So what happened was, for fiscal year 15, as I mentioned a little earlier, there was a 2.25% cut across the board. And that was done across the board in order to gather that money and to try to fill up some of those stop gaps. So as far as child care is concerned, that is something that I am very aggressively working with other members of the Black Caucus to keep those dollars protected. But, as I said a little earlier, going into the negotiations on the budget, we're already at $2 billion under. Governor Rauner is pretty much committed to not having any new revenue, so obviously there are going to be some cuts. So I would encourage you, caller, to give my office a call. Let's team up. Let's work together. Let's use CAN TV and all the other resources that we have to posse up together and make our message clear to the governor's office.
We've got 1 minute left,
That's it?
Well, what's unfortunate is that you should see the board over here. It's lit up with all kinds of callers.
Well, call my office,
that want
please.
to ask you. So you can call the representative's office. Here's that number again. I want you to see
That's
that
it.
there. That's the number. But we are also going to have you come back.
I look forward to coming
And
back.
we'll-
And you know what? We're coming back to a new location. I know that Can TV, we're now moving to a new location, correct? That's
We are.
awesome.
We're very excited about that. A new building
am
over in
too.
the Illinois Medical District. Yes.
Awesome. And that's not too far from my old high school. I went to St. Ignatius.
Oh, nice. Okay.
And my dad is watching in Arizona. Hey, Dad, I hope you're doing well out there. So
And your
everybody's
mom,
doing
I know you're very proud of your mother.
very, very proud of my mom. She was a retired circuit court judge and the former president of the Cook County Bar Association. So I come from a family of community service, and I want to keep that up.
Well, and we're so thrilled, callers, that you took the time to make the effort to get through. We're really sorry we didn't get to all of your calls. Come back again for Political Forum here at Can TV, which is here to provide you access to community TV. Thank you so much. Good night.
Good night.
And no April Fool's joke tonight.
Don't forget to vote. Don't forget to vote.
Oh,
Don't
yeah,
forget to
we've
vote.
got a big election.
Don't forget to vote.
We've got a number of aldermanic races coming
That's right.
up.
I've got 5 or 6 runoffs in my district. So please, everyone in the 32nd district, pay attention. We've got to get out there and vote. 20th Ward, 18th Ward, 16th Ward, 15th Ward. We all have runoffs. Let's get out there and vote, everybody.
And we have a runoff for the mayor's election. So
We sure do.
Next Tuesday is a big day in Chicago. Good night, everyone. Thank you so much. We really appreciate your time and
Good night,
attention.
everyone.